Bismillah wa salatu wa salam ala Rasulullah. So today, we are going to take ourselves through what we call machine learning application, taking clue from the past successful utilizations while exploring the present and future possibilities. So practically what we are trying to do is we're going to take a little break from the theoretical basis that we've been exposing ourselves to. So we will come back again to explore some other advanced machine learning algorithms. However, as we've always mentioned, that machine learning as a field or as a specialization is often learned through practical application. So I want each and every one of us to think of what are possible applications that you can come up with in your own area, because we are from different backgrounds. I know we have engineers here, we have the medical teams, even in the engineering field, so many different aspects of engineering. And we have academics here, so professors, postgraduate students, postdoctoral students, a host of others. So I want us to be able to internalize some of the concepts we've covered, and then trying to see what can you do in your own area. Because like I keep saying, machine learning, as Tony said, to be a tool, a popular one indeed, that everyone just has to take up one way or the other, even if we don't like it, because it's becoming a commonplace. Already some employers are already making it as condition when you want to submit project proposal now. I remember a couple of years, like 2 years ago, the Minister of Education in Saudi Arabia called for proposals from all departments. So, but the condition is the proposal must utilize artificial intelligence, or aka machine learning, which is the popular one that is closer to people. There's so many applications of AI, but the machine learning is closer to the people, closer to the industry compared to other aspects, depending on their natures. So therefore, if you will learn in as much as we encourage us to keep visiting our videos, checking it all off and on. If there's anything that is not clear, let us know. But meanwhile, we want us to look at some of the applications that we have been opportune to be personally involved in. So we share our ideas. First of all, we'll start it on general level. Then at the second stage, we're going to look at specific applications that we felt might be interesting to few of us or some of us. And then thereafter, we are going to pick sampled application work and then go in detail into a few selected ones that, okay, how do you gather your data? After you've made up your mind, how do you gather your data? What are the procedures that you need to really utilize practically this time around? So that we want you not just to learn some of those concepts we've covered, but for you to be able to know how can you apply it in your own day-to-day activity, in your own place of work or in your profession. Now, so to do this, we're going to do this for some time, and then we'll come back again to pick further some of the machine learning algorithms that we are here to cover, like neural networks, or vector machines. So hopefully by that time, you'll be having enough tools at your disposal so that you can select whatever you feel is more appropriate at your area. So at some point in time in the lecture, we're going to have an interactive section. So because we want you also to think about your ideas, share your idea with us in the class so that other people also can benefit and see how can they also apply it in their own way of human endeavor. Because from my experience with students, so when you teach machine learning while incorporating practical applications, it makes it easier for them to be able to stand on their own as soon as possible. Of course, it's a very big, vast area, but then covering the whole thing and then later think of, okay, how am I going to apply it? Actually, it doesn't work that way. So make it, that's going in a kind of, sometimes people lose interest along the way, actually. This is the summary. So, but whatever little you've learned, try to put it into practice. That actually energizes you to do more, actually, to exploit more. I say, oh, so I can actually do something like this. So if only to see, that's why you see some of the other very popular online courses, Coursera and the likes. For every lecture, you have practical sections, you have things you have to get yourself into. So get your hand dirty with trying to practice what you've learned. We go a long way to make you to be able to achieve or to better utilize the knowledge you might be getting from this particular setting. Now, so having said this, so we are going to start today. So first of all, again, let us remind ourselves, when we say machine learning, what are we talking about? What are we talking about in this? Now, so we said the goal of machine learning is to build computer systems that can adapt and learn from their experience. So this is where I want us to all start thinking, okay, in my own area of practice, is there any way that I can think of a way to build such a thing? That, okay, having developed it, so based on the experience, based on the data that we have available, can I build something? It might just be for your own personal use in your office. It could be for your own personal use in your house. And if you're academics, it might be something you are even actually interested in taking it further to next level by benefiting it, then benefit the entire world, let them know what you have done or what you are trying to do. You see, machine learning algorithms discover the relationship between the variables of a system, like the input, the output, and hidden from direct samples of the system. So that's why samples or data sets is very important. You have the old ones, what you have done before in your laboratory. Can you bring the data up? It could be the data of your patient. Can you bring them up? Can you develop a system that can take advantage of this so-called useless data? Usually these data are wasting away in our computer. Some of them in our log books in the laboratory, they are wasting away. But actually you can convert them to knowledge. You see, this is the idea. They look so useless, but then you can convert them to knowledge. So how do we do that? That is exactly what we're trying to cover when we talk of machine learning. Let's use this data as a basis to train our machine learning algorithms so that we can form models. So that the same similar thing, you don't need to go back to the laboratory later and repeat those experiments, but rather the system will predict it for you. For example, in some of my interaction with engineer or let me call it scientists who used to go to the laboratory, usually we have different types of attributes or properties. There are a couple of properties that are very easy. The easier property, very easy to generate. You just need to put the object on a particular thing, like the weight. You see, you have a sample, you can easily take it. You can easily take the measurement of the weight of that particular sample. You can take some other very simple physical properties or attributes in the laboratory without wasting your time. However, I was made to realize that there are a couple of properties that for you to measure them, you need to take days. I have had friends that says they stay in laboratory for 2-3 weeks just to take one measurement because they have to subject it to stress. For example, they want to measure the strength of material. So some property like the weight of the material, they are very straightforward. Just put it on a weighing machine, you can get the value. However, to get the strength of that material, you need to do some other procedures. And some in the chemical world, like chemistry, chemical engineering, they have to even set up experiments that will take a couple of days to come back and see the readings. So people who work on empirical sciences know this better. So those ones that will take a long time for you to get it in, why don't you take advantage of the data set that you have with you that is wasting away inside your computer or in your logbooks? So bring out those old data wherein you have the reading for both the easier one and the difficult one. So we will train the system to be able to use the easier attributes to predict the difficult attributes to get. Once we're able to train a lot or enough, we have enough data to train, and the algorithm works well for your data, because always remember that there's no machine learning algorithm that is better than all, but rather this principle will always guide us. Let the data speak. Now, so once you have this in mind, so like I said, keep thinking about, keep imagining your own area. What are the attributes that you can consider to be easier to get? It could be in the medical. You see, patient can easily walk into the laboratory, take test. What is the sugar? What is the weight? What is the age? So many basic questions could be asked. However, to determine if the patient is having a particular disease, you need a medical doctor to come and do that. Even after running all tests, sometimes there are still mistaken diagnoses, even by medical doctor, despite all the tests that has already been conducted. So it means we need something higher there that can connect these tests together and be able to determine if this person is having diabetes or not. So how do we do this? Then we need old data. Bring me data, medical results, medical laboratory results of people that have been confirmed in the past to suffer from diabetes by doctors. Confirmed cases, not the mistaken cases. There are always mistaken diagnoses. After like 2 years, they find out that, oh, we are sorry, we've been treating you for the wrong disease. It happens. Even in surgery, there are mistakes. The patient A is supposed to be operated in the hand. They ended up cutting off the leg of patient A and then cutting off the hand of another patient who is not even suffering from the hand. These are medical errors. And that's why these days now, there are interventions trying to bring in robots into the world of surgery. Of course, it's complicated, has a lot of challenges, but then experimental analysis have shown that they made lesser errors when it comes to medical mistakes. Of course, a lot of development are still also being investigated in the direction. But when we cut to the basic use of the data, so let's have this at the back of our mind. You definitely have 2 or 3 or even more category of data set that you are getting, the attribute, the easier one, and then the most difficult ones that will take you so much time to take. So we can't continue to waste so much time on such. Can't we use machine learning to see how can we try to understand the relationship between the input, the output? You know the input, you know the output. The input are usually simple attributes like weight and some other attributes, while the output could be like the strength of the material. For medical, the input could be the basic medical information about patient, the age, the family history, the kind of food, basic medical blood tests. However, the target could be, we want to diagnose the patient of certain diseases like maybe diabetes, thyroid cancer, and so many other types. So the one that are really difficult to do, that you need medical doctor, the experienced one to do it for you, and even with them, we can still make mistake, then we want to make them to be the output. Now we can use machine learning to build, to understand the hidden relationship between them. As human beings, we don't know, we cannot understand it. So machine learning will try to figure out what is the relationship between the input and the output. Can I come up with an hypothesis function H that can definitely assist me to be able to, giving me these simple attributes, can I make up what is going to be the output? So instead of we standing or spending several weeks or days in the laboratory, if we are able to train it and we trust it, then we might avoid that, because it's going to be giving us exactly what we are supposed to get if we have gone to the laboratory. Now, then we say machine learning is the next internet. So in our previous, especially if you are the one that you listen to our videos in the past, especially those people that are new, when we say machine learning is the next internet, this is one of several quotations that have been credited to practitioners in this area, especially in IT. This was credited to Tony Tita, the director of DARPA, as then You say machine learning is the next internet. I've personally looked at several quotations, quotes about this concept. I've come to realize that this is the quote that actually correctly, more correctly summarize what machine learning actually is. So when you say machine learning is the next internet, it doesn't mean that it's going to be the internet is going to stop. No, but rather the meaning is that something that is going to change the world, that is going to affect the world the way internet has done, is machine learning. Because with internet, our lives are never the same thing anymore, both positive and negative. On the positive side, so of course, you always know, as they say, for every positive, you always have negative. So you just need to make sure that you maximize the positive side and try to avoid the negative. For example, let me start from the banking industry. If someone would tell you that you will not go to your bank and you get your money, you not go to a bank, you get your ATM card for weeks, for years. For some time after 2 years, your bank in it, they will block your account so that you can come to their office to show your face. They say, come to the office to show your face. They will not solve it for you online. They want to know if you are still existing. Because for almost 2 years, you have nothing to go to do in their branches. Everything is done for you. Your ATM expire, you have to go to the machine and print it out. All this made possible by what? Internet. Because without interconnection of systems, how are you going to do that? Even our common ATM, without internet, how are we going to get money from your ATM machine? You see, even when you travel out of the country, you still have access to your money. That is internet. It changed the way we do everything. In the past, there's a very good news, a great news in your house. You want to pass it to your brother or your junior ones who is studying in another country. So in the past, we need to send letter through the postal services. Maybe the mail will take the physical mail will take maybe 2-3 weeks to get there. So, but today we can imagine that sometimes your relative that is outside the country gets information even before you that you are in that country. That is internet. So, and we can keep on mentioning several areas that internet have revolutionized the way we do things. So the idea of saying machine learning is the next internet is that the next thing that will change the way things have been done, similar, if not better than the way internet did, is machine learning. That was the prediction. And it's already coming to pass. Like I mentioned just a few minutes back, that lots of employers now are making it a condition for whatever proposal you want to make. If you want to do something, they will say, where is the machine, where is the artificial intelligence part of it? Do you have anything for machine learning there? We have seen renowned professor being, of course, things had to be done properly, being returned back to his drawing table to please go and add something from AI. You cannot have a proposal these days approved without anything from that side. So because people have started seeing the implication and what this particular kind of application area can actually offer. And then it become like the rat race, as they say, everybody now is on it. So in order not to be left behind, that's why I said, we also need to internalize it. Think of what you are doing in your own area. How can we benefit from it? Now, so, and then moving on to just refresh our brain regarding machine learning. I said machine learning is basically a paradigm shift. It's a paradigm shift to the way we do things. See, it's a paradigm shift that promote the concept of let the data speak. Let the data speak. So unlike traditional programming, which what we are used to before, you have your data, you need to write a program. The programmer will write code program here. Either you call them programmer or coder or whatever we call them. You write a program, then you supply data, and then you generate the output. This is what we are all used to. However, one of the greatest challenges in computing then is writing a program. Writing program is very tough. And that's why we had what was referred to as software crisis. Software crisis. Software crisis refer to the principle that the software development is not meeting up with the hardware development. Within 2 years, you can see several types of hardware are out. If you look at the series, we used to have Pentium 4, then we have dual core to duo, then we have high 3, high 5, high 7. I mean, within very short period of time, hardware keep coming out regularly, faster. However, for software, no, it doesn't match up. So that was what we refer to as software crisis. That there's a crisis in the software, in the program generation house. Even as big as the big Microsoft and other software houses are, it takes them years before they can replace an application. Take, for instance, when there was a time they developed Windows Vista. Windows Vista was a big failure. It has a lot of issues. So they have to offer it for free, that if you have Vista, then you can migrate to Windows 7 for free. Because they later detected so many mistakes, so many errors were there. And took them years before they actually replaced the previous one with Vista. But finally, they had to realize that no, these errors are so grave that we can't continue fixing them with bugs. Better just migrate to Windows 7 for free. And they want Windows 7 for long. That is to tell you how challenging it is to produce a software. And that was what led to the concept of software engineering that was later developed later. Software engineering was developed as a means of solving this software crisis. That can we let us, just since hardware have been developed, have been provided, have been manufactured following engineering principle, okay, let us develop something we call software engineering, which means before you write a software, you need to pass through the same principle of engineering. Feasibility study, you have to have analysis, design, then so that you want them to go through all this engineering principle. And it was done. Of course, it improved a little bit, software development, but however, yet the problem is still very much there. So finally, machine learning says, I think the time is here that those programs will be generated for you automatically. Just give us data, then provide us with the sample output from the past. This is what I've been mentioning today. See, in your laboratory, give all your data that you've had in the past. There are simple data, the input, very simple one. Tell us the difficult one you have measured over time, the output. If you give us these two, we try to match it together using our algorithm, machine learning algorithm, which is going to guide the system on how to understand the relationship between this input and the output. You see? Then it's going to give us the program. You can see here, instead of having human being to write it. Of course, in addition to the program being difficult to write, we also have the human aspect of it. Some human being deliberately corrupt this software, to give them advantage. We've seen several of them, some of the highly undetected corruption, where people program for banking and then they did some things there to get them some little, very, very minute amount of money on every transaction. Also, people will not realize it, but huge money were being stolen, and so many other human aspects of challenges there. So the idea is, okay, can we just all together let the system generate this program for us? So that was what machine learning practically is trying to do. So if you have your data that is appropriate, we train the system will generate an hypothesis function H, which is practically representing the program. With that particular program, you can be able to predict. So next time, we don't need output again, since it's usually difficult for you to get output from your laboratory, or it's difficult to determine if this patient is diabetes or not, except you have a medical doctor who is equally busy and who might also make mistake. But with enough well-trained system, just give us the simple data from the patient. We are going to predict for you. We're going to use our program to generate the status of that patient. Either is it diabetes or non-diabetes. If it is your engineering, you want to predict the strength of material, then you can be able to generate the strength of your material without staying in laboratory to do so. So you're going to save time. At the same time, you will be getting hopefully even more accurate with a lot of advantages. Of course, to do that, all what we've been teaching ourselves, these are basic things we have to use and follow. Now, moving further, what to remember about machine learning models, very important, is that we said there's no free lunch. See, know that there's no free lunch. So machine learning algorithms are tools, not dogmas. Yeah, they are tools. You use them. Sometimes they work for you, sometimes they don't work for you. It's not something that is always established. Dogmas are things that doesn't change. It's there, well established. Mobeni, it's fixed. But machine learning algorithms are not like that. You could use machine learning algorithm today, you get very excellent result. You get another data set, it doesn't work. So, and that's why you always remember that, let the data speak. So whenever you have new data set, try to explore and see which of the algorithms will work and what may work for you. Now, we say no classifier is inherently better than any other. You need to make assumptions to generalize. So also take note of this. So whatever application you are trying to delve into, there's no tool that is going to be unique for all your problems. Depend. So you need to make assumption, like assume that this is going to work, and then we see if it's really going to work. So on the no free lunch principle, sometimes you have to make a compromise. So yeah, if it's really free lunch, like you can see our friend here, is there really free lunch? To get the free lunch, you need to enter with $10. So how many food you want to eat there? You enter with $10 to go and eat $9 food. Is that really free? So in reality, nothing is really free. So there's always price that we have to pay for system we want. So another very important thing for you to take note, for us to take note, is try simple classifier first. Always start with simple classifier. First thing, don't go for big one, because we have seen people do this, and actually it's out of mistake, actually, or lack of deep knowledge of this area. So you want to solve a very simple problem, you don't go start using deep learning. For deep learning, you need a lot of data, and also it's going to take a lot of time. And deep learning has its own special areas that is area of strength. Deep learning is part of machine learning. Yeah, we discussed this earlier. It's a special aspect of machine learning that goes a little bit deeper. So if you have a situation whereby your data set is very straightforward, you have your data in columns already, like the patient record is there, basic question from patient, that's fine. Use those start from simple algorithm like k-nearest neighbor, decision tree, naive Bayes, before you start moving to neural network, super vector machine, and host of other. Don't just start from deep learning. Using deep learning for very simple application is like using a big hammer to kill a fly. If you kill that fly on your table, you might end up breaking your cups or destroying your table. At the end of the day, you might actually miss the fly. You might not be able to kill the fly. It's as serious as that. So because you are using the wrong tool to solve a particular very simple problem, but rather start from very simple machine learning algorithm or classifier. See? And then as you move on, then you can, better to have smart feature. We also explain this concept. But let me classify this. Maybe somebody might just want to have a very clear thing here. For deep learning, because I know it's very common, so we have the opportunity of also discussing it as we move on later on, inshallah. See, deep learning is good when you have problems that has to do with imaging. Let me let you know that imaging or videos. Imaging or videos. See? Imaging or videos. So, for example, and the unique thing there is, for us, if you want to use ordinary machine learning algorithm, you need to extract the feature from your image or video, then transfer it to your machine learning algorithm. However, deep learning has the capability to automatically extract the features by itself. This is the strong point of deep learning. So if you have a problem that has to do with imaging or videos, you go for deep learning. Or text classification. It has also capability to extract some features automatically. See? And that is why deep learning is the main machine learning algorithm behind the autonomously driven car, autonomous car. You see, the new cars that are driving themselves. Because these cars need to take a lot of videos, they take photo continuously, because that is the only way to see. You take a picture at every place, take videos, and the deep learning system keep automatically extracting the feature and predicting. This is human being, you need to stop. This is not human being, you can continue. You need to take a ride. There are too many cars close to you. You need to maintain the center. So a lot of decisions have been taken based on videos and photos that have been taken by the car. So in that case, there's no room for you to sit down, extract the feature manually, and then you go to the next stage. This is why deep learning becomes very handy. However, when you are solving those very simple problems, you go to your lab, you get basic attributes records ready, like what is the weight of the material and some other attributes, and you know the target. Go in for your simple classifier first, AWALAN. Then later, you can explore other support vector machine, neural network, not going directly from nowhere directly to deep learning. And I've seen people made this that's why I'm specifically calling our attention to it. I've seen people made very deep mistake on this sense. So here you see a very simple application. They deployed deep learning. They were able to get like 75% accuracy. However, with just k-nearest neighbor, me seeing it, I know there is a mistake of choice. The choice of the algorithm is wrong. See, we just try to deploy k-nearest neighbor, very simple one. Already having 94% accuracy. Just imagine the improvement. You see? And this is deep learning, because you're using a wrong tool for a wrong solution. That's why try simple classifier, and also better to have smart features and simple classifier than simple features and smart classifier. That's another very important thing to take note in machine learning. Better to have smart features. So what are the features? When you say smart features that are closer to the application area you want to solve. It's very important. See, we want to predict if a student is going to pass an exam or not. Then what should we be thinking about? What are the attributes of student that can assist us to predict if a student will pass a course? For me, we may need to look at what is the performance of the student in the prerequisite for that course. That's one of the questions I might ask. What is the prerequisite for this course? For example, in a deep learning class, we have machine learning as a prerequisite. Okay, what was the score in the machine learning course? Then maybe that will give me an idea. The number of attendance, the attendance pattern of the student, is he always in class? Participation in class? I mean, these are things I thought are closer to this student possibility of passing, because if he's not participating in the class, maybe he's always using mobile. It's not even with you. So he's moving towards failure. So you want attributes that can point to the possibility of this student, that can aid the student in passing or not passing. However, imagine someone trying to come up with attribute like if the student play football over the weekend, has he ever traveled out of the country in the past 10 years? How does that affect him passing your present course? You might think it has some little correlation, but some correlation are closer than the other. So that is why sometimes you might need to do what we call the feature selection. We discussed this earlier. We have videos on that in our platforms. How do you select feature? You need to select smart feature, because the best of classifiers will not perform if the features are not good. Unfortunately, sometimes you have some good features mixed with bad features. That is, smart feature mixed with non-smart feature. You mix them together. The bad one will drop down the performance because of cost of dimensionality. See? However, we might need to be able to separate the smart one from the weaker one. So we say that it's better for us to have smart features and simple classifier than simple features and smart classifier. This is it. Oh, this classifier is very good. Just give me your data, even if the feature is bad. He says better to invest your time wisely to get features that are more related to that area. If you're not an expert in that area, you might talk to experts in those areas. Let them give you an idea. What do you think about this? However, let me sound a caution at this point in time. Where we are seeking for, why it's good, it is good to get expert opinion, but sometimes experts do go to extreme, sometimes, not always, in their recommendation. We usually ask the expert to recommend those attributes that you think could be relevant. But don't be too selective at the beginning, because remember, let the data speak. Let the data speak. So usually, when we request for medical data, for example, we usually ask, can you kindly just give us all the information you have about your patient? Oh, in the past, people have said, no, just sit down with our doctor. Our doctor will tell you what are the attributes they use to check, to diagnose if someone is diabetes or not. Yes, we know. But however, we don't want to be limited to those ones they are using presently. What if there are other attributes that have developed in the body of patient that have never been linked to the diagnosis? Okay. So can we have all possibilities? Now, can we have all possibilities? That is, we don't want to exclude any possible nice or smart feature. To the practitioner, they have never used it before. In fact, they don't see correlation between it. And we've had several life experiences. For example, in drilling operation, in oil and gas drilling operation, we've had cases whereby people are used to considering A, B, and C. This is just an example, as the best attribute to be used in optimizing the drilling operation. But then there are like others, D and E attribute, that they do ignore, that they are not very important. But then on bringing everything together, utilizing machine learning to be able to see which of these attributes are really relevant more, they were able to find out, surprisingly, that when you take A, D, and E, we get better result than A, B, C that they are actually used to. But human beings, naturally, we are reluctant to change sometimes, but when they found the data and the result is speaking for itself now, people were surprised. So this is why when you are looking for data from experts, if you can get as many attributes as possible and let the machine learning help you to really sort out the smart one in what we call feature selection, that will actually put you on the safer side. So we don't want, because the idea is, like we call data mining, which is a phenomenon that is taking a lot of advantage of machine learning, benefit a lot from machine learning, data mining. We want to mine data. When you are doing mining, either you are doing whatever mining, oil, iron ore, diamond mining, we go into the sun. I see a lot of mixture of both the useful and the unuseful. We have to keep searching. So give us that opportunity to mine your data. Don't just be too selective for us. Okay, just if we want to diagnose diabetes, we use only 3 attributes. Don't give us those 3 only. Give us more. Let us try to do data mining on it. Maybe our system will detect that, oh, there are actually attributes that we've been ignoring. You never tried actually out. You could have realized that, wow, this is actually better than what we were using before. For example, now there are ongoing effort to try to actually diagnose diabetes without going to laboratory. We want to be able to diagnose people as having diabetes without going for any medical test, by asking few questions. How many hours do you sit down on a daily basis? How many days of exercise do you do? Do you have this feeling? I mean, basic questions that people can quickly answer within few minutes, and then they get themselves diagnosed of having diabetes or not. And so many other things, which in the past, there are certain type of medical tests you need to do. And I want to believe also this could be applicable in our individual area of specialization, whereby we have attributes that we know to be very good. However, when you want to develop machine learning, bring all possibility on board. Let us see Perhaps there is a very important attribute that we have been underrating, but with machine learning, we might be able to take benefit from such attributes in getting us better, accurate results. And finally, we said use increasingly powerful classifier with more training data, which we call the bias variance trade-off. We already explained this concept also in our earlier videos. Bias variance trade-off. Use increasingly powerful classifier with more training data. That is, before you start thinking of using powerful classifier, I mentioned it, for deep learning, you need big data. You need sizable number of data sets. You see, whereas some other machine learning algorithm like k-nearest neighbor might work for you, just 28 samples, even 15 samples sometimes. You might get reasonable result. You go for neural network, it's not going to work for you because the data is just too small. So as your data set is increasing, then you can start considering, because I told you like k-nearest neighbor, if the data is big, because of the way it's a lazy learner, it doesn't develop a particular model, but rather it will be comparing every sample to the training side. So it takes a lot of time if your data is big. This is time for you to start moving towards more sophisticated classifier. So these are some of the take home as a way of kind of summarizing for us some of the decisions you might be making as you start on the way to start looking inwards. How can I apply some of the basic concepts we have covered that I've learned in these particular settings? So I want us all to start thinking in your area, what are possibilities, what can be done, and what could not be done. So these are things that we need to move on to. So next, we are going to look into the major machine learning techniques that have often been deployed in some of our research areas, so that will serve also as clue for us. However, for our time, we are going to stop at this point for today. We give room for question and answer if anybody have anything to clarify regarding your feed. But then everybody should be thinking of what can I do? How can I apply? So you have a small project on your own that where you're going to apply at least some of the basic stuffs we've covered, while we hope to move further. So thank you all for listening. So, and for the present, so Barakallahu Fikum. So we're going to listen to if there's any question or comment regarding what have been done. Thank you very much.